I'm trying to make is there is thoughtful listening, there is thoughtful research, you're getting the facts. You're not making emotional decisions, you're not grandstanding when you make a decision. What you're doing is listening to each other, looking each other in the eye, talking about it. And we have a thing called the Sunshine Law in Pennsylvania that forbids us as commissioners to communicate outside of a public meeting, which is very hard. We could probably work some things out, but they want all that to transpire in front of the public and in front of the press. We usually have two local media, WLBR Radio and the Lebanon Daily News, who attend our meetings on a regular basis. I also usually YouTube them, but now that I'm chairing the meetings, I don't know how to work that out too. And we'll see how it all works out. But it's a good thing because the public knows that it's not something that's rubber stamped behind closed doors, but it's also sometimes can lead to contentiousness. So I'm hoping that we can all keep calm heads and solve this issue together. So you're right, it's a test case, but I think the key is listening to each other sincerely.
All right. You say listening to each other sincerely, and what I also hear is that what you're saying needs to happen to really solve these issues is you need to go past what your party's doctrine says and talk to real experts in the field. Do you feel as though sometimes politicians make decisions based on their personal bias without talking to people who know the facts, who know the issues?
Well, that's interesting because the other thing I did was take the step to go to the employees, because sometimes in a business or a nursing home, whatever it might be, you also want to talk to the employees. That's a part that I didn't mention before, because they work there every day, all day long. They see things that I would never see because I come on walkthroughs and visits, but I'm not there all day every day. And they can tell me things, and I had like 64 roughly suggestions, and half of those I saw, we need to educate because they don't quite understand why something's done a certain way. But on the other hand, the other half were some of the things I mentioned before, that we can do better, and we can always do better. We don't ever know it all. So it's a matter of listening to the workers and listening to the experts. And by the way, that list that I compiled was turned over to the people who are doing the study, so they can consider all of the options that were presented as well. So yeah, if we're not doing our due diligence, I'll call it, and getting the facts from whatever sources we can, and our job is to pull those facts together from professionals, from the people in the field, our own background and knowledge, and synthesize it, if I can say the word, and then come to a decision. And you know what? Because we have different backgrounds, it is entirely possible that we'll come up with different conclusions. And the vote may be split, but in the end, it's a matter about respecting each other for having a difference of opinion and going on without being sarcastic, without being condemning or belittling to another person, because we might not agree in the end. And then, of course, that's what politics is all about. The group that has the most votes is going to win. And I can defend my position, and they can defend their position if it happens to be different, but we can still respect each other as long as we have a feeling that it's not grandstanding, that it's not political, that it is because we've done our research and we came to different conclusions. Then you can part ways and you can still be respectful of each other. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay.
So I'm just going to reiterate to make sure I understand what you're saying. So if Ryan the Republican is over here and Danny the Democrat is over here, Ryan the Republican says, I think that we need less government, more fiscal conservativeness, and Danny the Democrat says, I think that we need more social programs, we need to be able to help people, and that's how we can build up. We can build up from there. And he says, well, no, because I'm right because it's just less. And he says, no, I'm correct because if you look at the research, and if he's looking at the research, then that's where he's succeeding. Or if he says, I know I'm correct because I've been looking at research, and it shows that if we empower people more to have more personal responsibility, or in whatever way, that he is also doing his part. So what you're saying, it's the politician's part to
Listen to both sides, because they're both right, and there is a happy medium. Can you get there? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I think that we have to, at that level then, okay, let's drop the rhetoric, let's drop the partisanship. How can we work this out that's the best for the people? You get a little, I get a little, you give a little, I give a little. Let's make it work. That's the compromise. Those are the statesmanship things that are kind of being lost these days, in my opinion, and that's just me.
all right. That was very, very powerful. I really thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah.